And our 2014 champions of our city's Retired Policy Debate is Sheboygan. Okay, judges, you're free to give whatever comments you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, I voted for Appleton East. And the reason that I voted for Appleton East is because I default to thinking that we begin in a fiat world. And I feel like when I was listening to your arguments, I understood what was happening with the ballot. Whereas when I was listening to the negative arguments, I could not articulate for you what I was doing when I voted with my ballot. And I think it's kind of important because without establishing where you are with fiat and non-fiat, it becomes a non-unique disadvantage that you're running. And then large portions of the criticism, to me, I'm almost like loath to decipher them. Particularly with, like, one of the arguments that I do follow is the argument about value in life and whether or not, sort of value in life comes before policy claims regarding extinction. And there, I think that the more powerful argument is that at least you have a chance for a valuable life when you begin by having life in the first place. And so I think that the affirmative comes ahead there. I also think that a lot of your education claims end up feeling very true in this particular debate. Because, you guys are listening to a new affirmative with like an interesting topic/idea. And then you respond by running a single criticism with a very sort of general stance towards almost any affirmative. So I guess before I come to the criticism debate, I voted affirmative in terms of the framework, because I do think like your arguments about why policy debate is better were successful.
Okay, I can go fairly quickly, I think. So I have to kind of admit first of all that this was not so much a debate that I think that y'all won a whole lot of. I think that you kind of won this debate a little bit by default because y'all's rebuttals kind of fell apart for me. Like, I don't think that y'all had very much of a strategy going into the rebuttals. I think that you would have been, knowing where you were in terms of just understanding, like the understanding of the argument and that kind of stuff, you would have been much better off to kind of decide that the framework was going to be where you were going to make your stand, to kind of divorce yourself from the rest of the critique and attempt to develop a coherent argument there. The attempt to diversify the framework in the debate in the 1AR did not work for me, largely because I didn't understand what a lot of the arguments that you were making were. Like the most glaring example there is I have no idea what the Kapler argument is, right? Like, I don't feel as if the negative team is using any form of coercion to switch my ballot. Like, I simply don't understand the thesis of your argument there, right? And I think that you would have, and I think that the attempt in the 2AR to go for a framework argument without basing it in an education claim is an interesting response, but again, and potentially valid. But the problem is, I don't think that it was actually executed with like any forethought, right? Like, it seemed like you did not structure your 2AR with that in mind, right? Like, there was not a point at which you spent a minute explaining the internal link between your framework and how the app could never win a debate, and then impacting that in a way that was more substantive than, well, I understand that like fairness can operate independently from education, but you need to do some work to explicate that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just take it to that next.
Yeah, because that I think is a valid response to the fact that they're turning your education claims. But it was I don't want to be harsh about this, and I think, because I think that this is also true for the negative as well, I think that both teams would benefit immensely from stopping policy debate at some point in the rebuttals and just talking, right? And like getting out of the rhythm, you know what I mean? Getting out of the, like, did you really need to cover in the 2AR? Did the 2NR need to cover, quote unquote?
Yeah.
Like there weren't very many arguments at all towards the end.
Yeah.
And people were rushing their thoughts. People were trying to speak quickly. When all that did was it harmed your ability to articulate what it was that you were thinking and hurt your ability to communicate. This is one of those issues, one of those moments where it would have been far better to say half of the words and say them in a more articulate way. And I mean, like, and I think that that's true really for the negative as much as it is for the affirmative. Like, I have to say that, like, you know, like, it's been a while since I've seen a good Heidegger debate, but most of the ones that I remember having a much better understanding of the argument afterwards. My general thought is that I needed to understand a little bit better what it was about the affirmative methodology that made it fail, right? I understand that you say that they do the status quo approach and that they do not engage in ontology before they act, and that is the same mindset that has created the problems that happened before. But I don't really understand what about that methodology causes problems. I understand that it's bad because it otherizes. I understand that it's bad because it does not include people, but I don't know why it fails, right? Like I don't understand the solvency turn that is really the core of this argument.
Yeah, for sure.
So as a result, like, I mean, this is not it's unfortunate, like, I don't mean to be harsh, but this would not be a debate where, like, people would be getting real high points if this were a prelim, right? Like, because I think that you have a long ways to go in terms of explaining your argument as well. But in terms of the decision, I think that it is pretty clear that the negative creates, you know, a criticism of the education that is formed by traditional policy debate that y'all are attending in the framework, and that's a reason to, you know, go for, at the very least, you know, not evaluate the framework arguments, at which point the permutation, I'll just briefly say, like, you need to, again, develop what you actually need to win on a permutation, right? Explain why either it doesn't link or resolves the alternative sufficiently and what the net benefit is to it. I simply could not tell you what the net benefit was to the permutation. Like, I don't know why I would have preferred the permutation to the alternative, which, you know, self-evidently probably solves with a lack of additional alternative presses.
Wow, okay, yeah, it's a hard act to follow, guys. But, you know, I think, you know, I'm not as much in the mind reading business as some other folks, so I'm not going to go get into what I thought you were thinking or whatever. Just, you know, at the end of the day, what I come out with on the framework flow, which is the first one with you, like John, I have no idea how the hell I evaluate the K before the framework. You know, and he's absolutely right about the little blips of word salad that come out in these kind of debates. Like, engage in ontology is pure word salad. It literally makes no sense whatsoever. And I don't know if anyone actually used the phrase, but I know everyone uses phrases that are damn near to it.
Tomatoes that go with salad, right?
You know, the term word salad, right?
Yeah.
Just saying. So,
It's a joke about the app.
yeah, no, I'm following.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
I remember there were tomatoes involved. I was just saying, like, see, I was just being a humorless jerk and being like, oh my God, you didn't get my critically important point about word salad. You know, which, I got to give folks more credit for that. But yeah, look, on the framework though, yeah, I find the claims that they can turn your education more pretty persuasive. I don't see how you turn Kapler into, like, they're attempting to, it was Kapler who allegedly said that, into they're attempting to deny me agency in the context of this round. I need a hell of a lot more work out of Kapler before, you know, before you even develop a distinction between what you're doing and what they're doing, such that Kapler's call for the validator, especially their call for the validator, is of a different sort of yours. I think there's probably work to be done to make that distinction. I just, you know, call me silly, but I didn't hear it, you know? And while I like the idea that predictability is an utterly key warrant, I don't have anything like a answer to the idea that predictability just reifies this policy process they're critiquing. John, hey, I didn't hate your link flow as much as I did last time.
That's good.
You know, I mean, the link is highly generic, and you know, you have some explaining to do in overall before I'm convinced that it's not pure Chewbacca defense stuff. But sorry, this is a South Park episode, Chewbacca defense. You know the one I'm talking about?
I think so.
If Chewbacca lives on Endor, you must acquit.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, a problem lots of critical positions have is that they're pure Chewbacca defense. You know, like they're interesting observations about the world that like I'm supposed to vote on at some level. And I think, you know, the calculative thought thing is a kind of example of a thing that really easily gets into Chewbacca defense because it links to everything. But in doing that, like, it's really, really hard to isolate. It's really, really hard to isolate a specific. It's really, really hard to isolate a specific way that way that your case is more of a thing than other cases. And at the end of the day, they're just at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, at least this game needs to win. We're just better on every possible axis to win the round. And I don't, and you know, so I would be very open to hearing. I'd be very open to hearing that, like, to a better debate on exactly what the method. To hearing a better, longer debate on exactly, you know, what fixing methodology here entails. You know, and even specifically, like, even, you know, not what the world of the alt looks like. That's generally a horseshit debate. But at least to a debate about what exactly non-calculated policy deliberative methodology with full historical awareness. And I'm not actually sure where full historical awareness is well warranted in your card either. But leaving that aside, comes to also, you know, so. And also, I think the case comes perilously close to turning itself every time you say try or die in the 2NC. So, you know, but I'm sorry, I'm getting into random observations rather than an overall discussion of the round. Fundamentally, once I decide framework for the negative, you know, I'm not sure what I need Olinsky to say to pick you up on him, but he don't say it. You know, I'm taking your claim that there's some that, you know, I don't know that ethical considerations are actually the thing they're arguing for. So the idea that setting aside ethical considerations is a solving thing just strikes me as not specifically relevant. And out of the 2AR, I just don't have much other reason that I might vote F. So I'm ending with neg.
I'll keep it really short, please. I felt that this debate was very disorganized, which drove me nuts. I will give you, I mean, I don't judge that many K debates because I happen to be our nominee. I do. So, like, I'll give you that like, my flowing skills are not up to par, personally, but still, you were incredibly disorganized and it drove me nuts.
It was not your flowing skills.
What?
It was not your
Yep.
flowing skills.
Yeah,
There should be a line by line debate. There two, perm do both. Our answer, blank. There three, the alternative doesn't solve our argument. But yeah, no, definitely it has nothing to do with your flowing.
That's honestly all I got. I mean, I agree with both of them.
Is it my turn?
Oh, it's over there.
Well, I guess, like, I didn't think the line by line was messy. I more just thought, like, you guys just need to do more of it. You know, like, I thought you guys were just behind, like, coming out of the 1AR. I don't know, like, you know, you try to, like, well, I guess, okay. I guess I just, first of all, I buy that the critique comes first because, you know, to the point where they're winning their impacts and saying that, like, your calculative thought is bad, and, like, that means your education's bad, and, like, limits don't matter, right? Okay, like, so you need to, like, be, like, you need to, like, you read this 2AC block, and you just don't seem like you're prepared to defend your methodology afterwards. Like, and I'm just not really sure why. Like, you don't really, like, you know, into the 1AR, like, you know, really, like, most of what I get is just that, like, nuclear war has to come first, and he's turning it with these, like, you know, your inevitable claims, like, make it inevitable, and, like, we just need to question our ontology first and then engage in policy, which, like, also, like, answers all your state inevitable arguments, and it, like, allows a method of re-engaging the state, and, like, really, all you're really doing is just saying, like, you're extending the, like, line, like, that's it. Like, I don't get any analysis. Like, John is just way ahead, like, all throughout the debate. I don't know, yeah. Okay, but about the perm, yeah, like, you try and make it seem like it's somehow different. Like, like then every other perm do both, but like you need to like first of all you have to win severance because like you're changing your like representations pretty much, like like you're acknowledging you're wrong. Like I guess you're using the same epistemology, but I don't like if you're gonna solve right, like it eventually like ends in the alt somehow, I'm assuming, or at least you don't like properly explain to me like how the perm reaches solvency. So like it like I do agree that it severs. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, like the Kapler stuff. He pretty much explains it like he's just saying vote for whichever methodology you like first, or you like better. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I thought it was a good debate.